Ooby-doo! It's everyone's favorite boomer and vintage lens enthusiast. Today we're going to be looking at, let's take this off, Asaya Optical Company Japan, SMC PENTAX M 1 to 2.8, 28 millimeters. Lens made in Japan. Old school, all metal construction except for the rubber band for the focusing ring. It's small, it's compact, lightweight. I bought this many years ago when I was into film, probably in the 80s, and it was reasonably priced back then because Pentax was sort of like a third banana company, and they were sold at a discount. So I've had it for many years. I shot a lot of film with it. I moved into the digital age with it, although I've been using a lot of other lenses lately. So what I'm doing is this lens, I'm going to compare it to the Canon FD, not NFD, but FD, no, NFD, I'm sorry, I get those two mixed up. We're going to compare this one to the Canon NFD 28 2.8. But like I said, it's all metal construction, half f-stops, except between 22 and 16 is full. I'm going to shoot at f8 as always. That's your hyperfocal distance, but that's all for film. With digital, this means nothing. What does it focus down to? 0.2 meters or 0.3 meters. Sorry, 0.3 meters or 1 foot. That's what it focuses down to. It's a really nice lens. It's sharp, it's lightweight, it takes really excellent pictures. It's usable wide open, of course, and it's so light on these. This is a Sony Alpha 5000. You always use a hood man on it. These things are dirt cheap. Well, they used to be dirt cheap. They seem to have gone up in price. But I recommend if you want to get into mirrorless photography and vintage lenses, pick one of these up in a hood man and you can't go wrong. The hood man magnifies this big screen, and it's way better than, say, the more modern mirrorless cameras that have a tiny little EVF. You can't beat this. It's bright, it's large, it's easy to focus. So you can't go. It's only 20 megapixels, of course. The adjustments are rather coarse. But you know, what do you want? It does take good pictures. It takes excellent pictures. I highly recommend it. So what did I do? I went to POMPTON Lakes on Montague Ave, which is like their main street where all the stores are or used to be. Half of them are empty, and yeah, I go there every 6 weeks or so to see which stores are still there and what stores are new, and just going through some urban renewal where some lots are being knocked down and more modern structures are being put up. So they shut off the street. It has to be like over half a mile long where all the stores are. And they just loaded up with vintage cars. And what better way to compare lenses than to go to a car show and do a photo shoot there. And this thing is outstanding. Excellent. I believe in lens hoods now. I never used to use them, but now I use them a lot, especially with vintage lenses. Not so much because the lenses, the coatings are bad, but sometimes some of the internal elements may get slightly, ever so slightly foggy, and they could, reduce contrast at particular angles. So I use the lens hood to help minimize that. So there's not much to say about this, except I'm using a photodiodes dumb adapter, but that doesn't mean it's stupid. It works really good, and of course all it has to do is put the lens at the proper distance, and I can get infinity focus with this, which is good. I really like this lens. It compares favorably with the Canon NFD 28 2.8, which is a separate video. You could see after you watch this one. And I always say that Pentax guys will probably just watch the Pentax one. They won't watch the Canon one. Canon guys will just watch the Canon one. They won't watch the Pentax one. I'm sure people will watch both. And what's the surprise? The surprise is they're almost equal. Almost equal. I think this one had a cooler look. The Canon had a slightly warmer look. I used twin Alpha 5000s, and I set them up all exactly the same. White balance, ISO, sharpness, all that good stuff is all the same. So the only difference should be the difference of the lenses. They are fine prime lenses. I can't say enough. And these are dirt cheap. You could get a decent specimen, not an excellent specimen, but a decent specimen for $50 or less. If you want to go on a cheap, if you want to get like an outstanding, like new one, maybe $100. But like I said, I bought this maybe 40 years ago in the 80s when I was still into film, and I've had it all these years. And it's a really nice lens. I could highly recommend this lens. And it stands its own with anybody else. I don't have a Nikon 28 2.8 and don't intend to buy one. I imagine it's just as good as that. But then let's look at the slideshow, and then you decide if you think it's a good lens or not. So I took two cameras with me when I went to this car show. It's the Sony A5000 or Alpha 5000. One had a Canon 28 2.8 on it, and this one that we're seeing now is the SMC-M PENTAX 28 2.8, and they're both fine lenses. What do I like about the PENTAX K? Well, it was a K mount. It's easy peasy. You get it off and on. They don't have the the twist lock business like the FD mount does. And I use dumb adapters, but that doesn't mean they're stupid. So I think it did a really good job. And I'll tell you what, PENTAX SMC-M K mounts, they're a dime a dozen. I mean, perfect, like brand new condition, $150. If you want to go ratty, you can get them for quite less. Now, back in the day, this is back in the 90s when I started getting back into film, I picked this up for like $50, which was sort of like a lot of money in those days, but it was in really excellent condition. I used this lens quite a bit, and I put a little bit of wear and tear on it, but not much. Optically, it's still good. So I took this series of pictures after the Canon FD 28 2.8 session. So I walked up and down the street a couple times with the Canon. It was early in the morning, close to 10 o'clock. And now it had to be closer, just past 11. And so the sun was at a totally different angle. And it was starting to get more crowded too. And this lens did a bang-up job. Oh, I used lens hood on both these lenses. I think I used a rubber lens hood on the Canon, and I had a metal screw-on lens hood for the Pentax, and I really like it. I like both these lenses. They're really nice lenses. I'm a Canon guy. I've been in the Canon gear, but then back in the day, Canon was like an upscale manufacturer, and Pentax, they called Pentax poor man Nikons or poor man Canons. But and they try to knock Pentax, but Pentax made a lot of good stuff. They made a lot of good stuff. Their prime lenses are as good as anyone else's prime lenses. And it holds up to 20 megapixels. That means you can slap it on a modern mirrorless camera and go with it, just like the Canon. And they're both sharp, they're crisp, they got great IQ. I didn't see any flare with this lens, but the sun was higher up, and so that means the phase angle where it would bounce into the lens was different. So maybe that was it. I could have especially shot some pictures to see if it would flare out, but in casual photography, is it going to flare out? I didn't want to do anything special. You know what I'm saying, to check it. I wanted to act like I was in doing a photo shoot. I was taking pictures. And these are the results you would get. Really nice results. No doubt about it. It's possible to go to thrift stores and find one in a thrift store for $5. There's always people saying that. I always bought from used camera gear places. Like there's a place in Smyrna, Georgia, And then I live close to New York City, so they got the superstores there. So you can always just go to their websites and visit them over and over again until you see something you want and is reasonably priced. But it's an excellent lens. It's an excellent lens. Oh no. It's an excellent lens. This is just some bar that was on the Wanacue Ave, which is like their main street. So I figured I'd just take a picture and throw it in there. And there is a companion video of the Canon FD 28 that's been already posted, and you could look through that and check. It's about 15 minutes. I try to make all my lens tests about 15 minutes because ADD and all that stuff. I seen this guy, and I was talking to him at another car show, and he said he picked his car up on a rainy day, and then he just started restoring it. Man, there's so many nice cars there, and acres of chrome. A lot of it is just perfect, without a blemish. Of course, those are the guys who send their stuff out and have it replated and all that stuff. So you can see there's more people, and it's hard to get pictures without people. Notice, like in the B shots, where it could be a corner or the center, where it's just as sharp. This is what I call a telephoto lens. If you notice, 28mm is considered sort of wide, even on a crop sensor. I mean, you could still get detail out of a close crop. I love black cars when they park red or yellow cars next to it, and you see the reflection of the paint. The barber shop. So that's all there's: barber shops, pizzerias, juice places, coffee places, nail salons, hair salons. I mean, people just go to the highway and the big box stores when they want to buy something, or online. So mostly I shot at f8, and I just varied the shutter speed. Of course, with such a short focal length, I mean, you could use fast shutter speeds without too much worry. Slow shutter speeds. 1/60th of a second is no trouble. And since it's in bright sun, and I was actually using ISO 200, which is amazing, I still, using some fast shutter speeds. Oh, look at it. It says Trump Castle there. There's some stealth Trump, Oh, and here's the animals, stuffed animals and cars. That's real big. That's a thing. And they're themed by holiday or season. So, during October, and it has a Halloweeny, you'll see Halloweeny themed things like witches, a witch playing a guitar, a skeleton, a head tombstone. I found that on the A5000 to Alpha 5000, they have a thing called DRO, which is their dynamic range optimization, and I put that on. And this way, when you're under overexposed a little, it's much easier to bring out the detail, when you do your adjustments in whatever photo software you're using. Demon 19. Look at his paint job. He had beautiful chrome. Beautiful chrome. Must have cost some bucks. Now he's got no money for paint. Well, maybe next year he'll have it painted. That's why, I like to go to these car shows. You see cars you've never seen, and then you see cars you have seen. Look at this chrome and the reflections and refractions. Wow, trippy stuff. What were they thinking when they designed these cars? I mean, it's just chrome all over, and there's some sun stars, and it handles the glare pretty good. You can see the crowd was really starting to pick up. This is some Ruski car. You should get one of these lenses. They're worth every penny.